Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to talk about Apple's WWDC event yesterday. This is going to be a quick reaction video, it's unscripted, and we're going to look at the two most important products they announced in my humble opinion, the MacBook Air and the new 13-inch MacBook Pro, both of them powered by the M2 chip. I'm a little bit ambivalent about these two products, but we'll get into details about each one of them. First, let's talk about the MacBook Air, which gets its biggest design refresh in years, something close to a decade, I think. Gone is the old tapered design. We now have the exact same design language that's featured on the 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros respectively. There's a lot of upgrades. The biggest one obviously is under the hood. The new M2 chip has been launched. It's about 18 to 20% faster than the M1 before it, so it's a generational improvement. Not as big of a leap as the M1 was before, but still kind of expected. It would still give you a significant improvement, a measurable, quantifiable improvement over the M1, so that's pretty good news. The display gets a lot of upgrades as well. It's now larger at 13.6 inches. It's brighter than before at 500 nits. Before it was 400, I believe. The resolution has also been improved. So a lot of upgrades there. Oh yeah, on the front there's also a notch now, which is housing a 1080p FaceTime camera, so a better webcam than ever before on the MacBook Air. All of that's kind of great news, honestly. It still retains a fantastic 17-hour battery life. The design itself is super slim. I think it's 11 millimeters thick altogether, so it's pretty cool. It weighs the same 2.7 pounds as before, so it's a small, compact, light machine. Doesn't have a fan, so it's going to be completely silent as well. It retains a lot of the advantages of the M1, pretty much as expected. In addition to that, MagSafe charging makes a comeback on the MacBook Air as well, freeing up the other two ports for whatever other accessories you might want. Overall, I think it's a really neat design. I really dig it, except for two big things. First up, where's my colors? I was told there were going to be colors. In all seriousness, there were a lot of leaks last year that the MacBook Air will get the same colorful options as the iMac. And that hasn't happened. They've only added a midnight color option, which is basically, I think, a dark blue, I see from reading online from people who got to have some hands-on time with it. I was really hoping for some more color options. I mean, the iMac looks absolutely fantastic. You have green, you have blue, a ton of different, very bright colors. And I do think the MacBook Air would have looked absolutely fantastic with those color options. But that's not really the big issue. The big issue is pricing. On the face of it, the price only increased by $200, but that's, while true, quite misleading. You see, for $1,200, you now get a MacBook Air with the same 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU format as the M1 from 2020. In order to get the full-fledged power of the M2 that Apple presented in all of the graphs last night and everything, you have to spend $100 more, so you're talking about a $1,300 MacBook Air. The problem with this pricing though is that you get the exact same base spec as before. So we're talking about 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. And 8 gigabytes of RAM is kinda low for today, honestly. You're gonna get by, I think, for next year quite well, but beyond that it may be insufficient. So I would honestly recommend you would be better off buying the 16 gigabyte option, which is a $200 upgrade. So the second you upgrade the chip to the 10-core GPU model and you upgrade the RAM, you're looking at the $1,500 machine. And if you want 512 gigabytes of storage, which again is kind of needed in 2022, you're looking at $1,700 for the Air, which is really, really expensive. I mean, for $300 more, you can get the 14-inch MacBook Pro. Not a great move by Apple. I'm not a big fan of this, and I think they kind of know it to a certain degree. That's why they're keeping the M1 Air on sale for $1,000. So not a great outcome for me, honestly, from the pricing perspective. I get it, we live in a world with high inflation all over the place and everything, and high demand for everything, but still I'm not really comfortable with them increasing the price so much. The second product we're going to talk about in brief is this. The 13-inch MacBook Pro. See, I already have it the second day after Apple released it. That's a joke and not really a joke because this stays on sale with the exact same design. The only updates are going to be to the internals. It gets the same M2 chip configuration as the MacBook Air, but nothing else apart from that, so no MagSafe, no other improvements. This is a very quirky machine, so I've seen the conversation around the 13-inch MacBook Pro go in two directions. One, people who think it's completely obsolete by design. I don't really agree with that. It does kind of stick out like a sore thumb in Apple's MacBook lineup because it's the only one that has the old design language, but at the same time it retains the touch bar, which it still has its fans. But there's another quirky thing with the 13-inch Pro. If you spec it exactly like that Air we spec'd earlier, so 16 gigabytes of unified memory and 10-core GPU option, leave the storage untouched, it's going to be the same $1,500 as the MacBook Air with the exact same specs, while this thing will get a fan, so it's going to be a little bit better in terms of performance. Not by much, it's going to be a marginal improvement, 10% at best I think. But still, it's going to be a faster version of the Air. So customers are going to have a little bit of a choice to make. Do you go with the Air, which has a cooler, newer design, or do you go with the slightly better performance in the older design 13-inch Pro that still has a touch bar? I don't really know, but I think Apple targeted this based on customer demand, because if they wouldn't have had a demand for an entry-level Pro that has a touch bar, I doubt this thing would have still come to market. But here we are, 2022, and this one still soldiers on. So to wrap it up, I'm kind of ambivalent to both of them. Yes, I love the new MacBook Air, but it is pricey. You can tell me whatever you want, but it's expensive. If you go all out specing it with 512 gigs of storage, you're like $1,700, which is like $300 less than the 14-inch Pro. Very tough to sell at that point, in my honest opinion. The Pro is an overall better package. Also, this 13-inch MacBook Pro is a strange offering from Apple. Yes, it has its advantages, but it retains that older design language that might bother some people. Overall, I don't really think these products are as amazing as the M1s before them. And yeah, the constant price uptick is starting to get on my nerves. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these new products. Which one are you interested in? And which one would you consider actually spending your real hard-earned money for? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, sub to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.